Hello, very good morning, dear friends. Today we shall discuss the last stanza of this poem, The Preludes, written by T.S. Eliot. This is the fourth stanza of this poem. As you have understood well up to now, that there are four preludes in this poem, and they have been described by the poet about the fact that is the dehumanized by their drudgery to unending succession of sordid days and nights. The first two preludes, as you know very well, written in 1910 at Harvard, and the last, that is the third and fourth stanza or the preludes, were written in July 1911 at Paris. And they all are untitled as related parts of a single poem. This is what we know very well. What about they deal? We have come to know up to now that they deal with the more sordid aspect of the city life. Its characters that we have seen are degraded by poverty and gross sexuality. The poet in these preludes, through the images of stinking streets and dirty, foul smelling people, present the picture of a depressive world. So we have the picture of a depressive world in this poem. The city streets are inhabited by the poor who go through the round of the activities at a particular hours. There is no music at all in their lives, and they live in the dirty environment of the filthy streets. This is where we have the description of the three preludes. As we know that in the first prelude, the poet gives the picture of a winter evening in a house in the back street of the metropolitan city. In the second prelude, that deals with a dingy, monotonous morning smelling of stale beer. And the people, the mass, the multitude are moving towards the coffee stand. Then, in the next two, we have about the living human being. In the third, we have about the lady, about the woman who has been compared with the street. As the street has been trampled by innumerous people, in the same way, this woman is also recollecting the, the happening of the night that she has also been trampled by innumerous men. And she is recollecting those experiences. So then that is also about a man also. So in the third prelude, the woman has been experiencing has the vision of the sordid experiences, and the vision of the woman is now described in the fourth stanza. What in fact she has in her vision. Although it refers to the previous prelude, that is, the woman was laying upon her back and dozing, many images came to her mind. She imagines what she imagines in the third stanza, that the street she sees out her window is like a woman, that I have already said to you, and that her imagination then turns inward. She glances at the pictures of the sordid things, comparing her soul, and which are flickering on the ceiling above her supine body. So, just as the woman is looking up, At the ceiling, she imagines that the street is also looking up to the sky, bending over her. And then she says, or the poet says, the speaker says, that at night the street has been trampled upon by thousands of feet, rushing earnestly with short, thick fingers, clutching tobacco pipes and evening newspapers, and the eyes full of certainties in certain matters. So, in this way, we have in this poem. Now, we will move towards the explanation of this poem. That is, let me first recite the text of the stanza 4. We have, his soul stretched tight across the slides that fade behind a city block, or trampled by insistent feet, or at 4 and 5 and 6 o'clock. A short, square fingered, stiffing pipes and evening newspapers and eyes. A short of certain certainties, the conscience of a blackened street, impatient to assume the world. I am moved by fancies that are curled around these images and cling the notion of some infinitely gentle, infinitely suffering thing. Wipe your hand across your mouth and laugh. The worlds revolve like ancient women gathering fuel in vacant lots. This is, we have the poem's last stanza. So, here the poet thinks that the image of the woman and the street that brings to his mind creatures of the squalid area suffering a lot. So, the human beings are suffering a lot. And suddenly the mood and attitude of the poet is changed. And it is because of he has been physically and mentally moved by the images and the fanciful ideas that surround them. In line 50 to 51, he thinks of Jesus Christ or the Holy Virgin or to some of passive gentle Christ, like suffering characters which are found in Dostoevsky's novels. So let's see that the street walker's shawl then stretches tight across the skies that we have in the lines. His soul stretched tight across the skies. So the street walker's soul is stretching tight across the skies that fade behind the high building of the block. That fade behind a city block. City block means here the block of the houses. So high building of the block. So it has been fade behind the high building of the block. The street of the city are again trampled by insistent feet. So the city block or the roads or the streets, they are again trampled by the continuous feet of workers returning from their places of work. So the people who have worked in the factories, in the city block, in the high towers, they are coming out of that. They are coming out of the companies and factories at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. In this way, the street is trampled, again trampled by these innumerable feats. So, in the evening, and short squares fingers are filling pipes looking at the evening newspapers at 4 6 o'clock, and that square fingers, short square fingers, they are filling the pipe, stuffing pipes, that is the smoking pipes, they are filling them in order to smoke. So the fingers are filling pipes and looking at the evening newspapers. It means they are smoking, okay, through the pipes, as well as they are also looking at the newspapers. They are reading the newspapers. And short square fingers stuffing pipes and evening newspapers. Okay, so they are with the evening newspapers. And eyes assured of certain certainties. And their eyes, therefore, are assured of some definite certainties. In other words, we can say that these people are thinking of the drinking beer and eating fish. So their eyes are assured, they are certain for certainties that they will definitely get the drinking beer and eating fish in the night. That is going to take place. The conscience of a blackened street. So here the poet tries to emphasize the lack of imagination among the people in metropolis. They are certain only about the things like drinking beer and eating fish. So, in fact, it refers to a sense of sin which is going to take over the world. So again, there is an image of stinking city streets, dirty and foul-smelling people. In this way, it's an image of a depressing world that we have. So the conscience of a blackened street, impatient to assure the world. So here the poet is again moved by a fanciful idea. In the next lines, I am moved by fancies that are curled around these images. So there is a fanciful idea by which the poet is moved, and these fanciful ideas are associated with these images. Suddenly, his mind moves to some religious ideas. So the reference here may be to Jesus Christ. So, including the notion of some infinitely gentle, infinitely suffering thing. So, the poet is moved by fancies that are curled around their images. So, here the poet is reminding of the Jesus Christ or the Holy Virgin or the some of the passive gentle Christ, like suffering characters. Such characters are found in Dostoevsky's novels. So here the poet refers to the street walker and cheers him up. So the reference of here of the Christ or of the Holy Virgin means to say that Christ has also been given the suffering, endless sufferings, or the permanent sufferings. But then there is something goodness behind all those sufferings. That is, there is the happy world that we are living in that. And it was because of the crucifixion of the Christ. So we have in this world the endless sufferings as well as some goodness after that sufferings or some happy things. So in the last two lines, wipe your hand across your mouth and laugh. The world revolves like ancient moon. So here the poet refers again to the street walker and tells him to cheer him up, to wipe his hand across his mouth and laugh. So he should wipe his hands across the mouth, आंसू पोंछ लेना चाहिए, and then he should laugh. Why? because this world is full of recurring endless human distress. So you need not to worry about that, but we have to face those endless human distresses. So then he compares that it is this endless sufferings or distresses are like an ancient woman who is collecting fuel in vacant plots. खाली जगह में जो है कि ईंधन की तलाश में एक वुमन जो है कि घूम रही है. इसका मतलब ये है कि देर इज नो होप, देर इज नो म्यूजिक फॉर द पुअर living in the dry and unromantic environment of the filthy city streets. So as this woman is searching for the fuel in vacant plots, in the same way the people of the city who are hopeless, who are poor, they are living in dry and unromantic environment. That is, they are also not happy and nothing they are going to get. So in this way we have the explanation of these lines. So the sight is too deep for tears, but one has to laugh in order to live. So definitely the tears are there, the situations are very bad, but here the message the poet wants to give is that in those circumstances or conditions, even we have to laugh in order to live. If we want to live, we have to laugh without bothering these all kind of the problems. So he means to say that the conditions are sad but inevitable, because these conditions cannot be removed. Poverty, chill, penury cannot be removed, and therefore they have to laugh and they have to continue their work as they have been doing. So in spite of all sufferings, we have to keep up a show of happiness. So in this way the poet concludes this poem with these lines: wipe your hands across your mouth and laugh. आंसू पूछ लीजिए, मुंह साफ कर लीजिए और आराम से हंस के जो है कि इस जीवन को बिताइए और इस जीवन को फेस कीजिए, क्योंकि दीज प्रॉब्लम्स आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी फिनिश. प्रॉब्लम्स फिनिश होने की है नहीं, इसलिए वी नीड नॉट टू वरी अबाउट ऑल दैट, बट वी मस्ट फेस ऑल दीज थिंग्स एंड वी शुड लाफ. So this is in fact a reflection not only on the city life and ugliness of urban conditions, but also on the perception of the poet which centers on. So this is not only about the particular city, but this is a common universal perception or the universal truth that we all must accept. Definitely there is a great deal of objectivity in this poem or in the poems of T.S. Eliot, in the poetry of T.S. Eliot, and it's not like the romantic poets who wrote the subjective poetry, who wrote about their own emotions, about their own pleasures. But as we know that T.S. Eliot has rejected the romantic poetry and he is in favor of impersonal and the objective poetry. That what we see. So the image of the street is definitely objective. It doesn't relate to the poet's own emotions and etc. The sky is a symbol of heaven, fade behind a city block that is covered as the shutters cover sunlight in the stanza's third by the basis of horizontal unit of the city. So this is what we have seen. Assured of certain certainties. This represents a paradox, because the newspapers are telling us certain certainties, not the real whole truth. So in the newspaper we read the news and we feel that they are the certain things, they are the certainties, they are true, but not exactly they are true. So the conscience of a blackened street returns to the motif of the personified street that was so dust trampled, imagined by the woman, and then trampled by the insistent feet. Earlier in the poem we have seen. So in this way, blackened, that implies dirt and degradation, but as a consign. So this is what we have seen. Ancient refers to the old problems of the human conditions. Women are physically representation of the cycles of life because they give birth. So the last image is here paradox, because they gather substance to burn. They are the women are in search of the fuel, so they want some substance to burn, to light the world, so they can see. So paradox, you see. So they are trying to getting the fuel. It means they are trying to give the light to the world, keep warm and cook their food. So this is a kind of hope, we can say, or for the betterment of the world. And they are getting it from an empty space, but they are in search of these items in an empty space, vacant plots in the city. It means वहाँ कुछ मिलने वाला नहीं है जहाँ पर कि इसकी तलाश की जा रही है, लाइट की तलाश की जा रही है. सो ये भी एक निराशा का, डिप्रेशन का और डिसअपॉइंटमेंट का भाव यहाँ पे है. एंड इवन देन द पोइट सेज दैट वी हैव टू कंटिन्यू टू लिव इन दिस वर्ल्ड, and this describes a meaningful existence, and in this way we can say that this poem ends in despair. So this is what for today, dear friends. Thank you very much for listening, and in our next lecture we will be with the new poem from your syllabus. Thank you very much. Bye bye.